Okay. Okay.
I call the meeting to order. I have 5 p.m. Do we have anyone in the open forum or public comment? Sorry.
We do not have anyone signed up.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve.
Do you need to review our revisions on minutes?
I took a quick peek. I didn't notice anything. Did you notice anything in the minutes? Leslie, do you have anything on the minutes?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Okay, unanimous. Okay, we're in the workshop portion. I will now turn it over to our esteemed colleague. And when you feel appropriate to bring this up, let me know.
Okay, so, I have provided your packet and the paperwork in front of you, and I apologize, Leslie, I can't hand you a paper copy, but if you were to go online to the council agenda, excuse me, to the meetings agenda, you can click on the agenda item and all the attachments are listed. And
okay,
we're gonna-
thank you.
Yes, ma'am, and we're gonna go through the red line. And so you will see, just real quick, on, the first page, or section 1.03, I did change, for your request, the franchise from 50 years to 25 years. So we will suggest that.
1.03, you said, ma'am?
Yes, sir, on the very first page. The franchise term is 50 years, and you all had proposed reducing it to 25.
Annexation for all purposes. Section 1.03.
1.03E, general powers.
Page 10.
Page 16.
Page 10, yes, page 10.
Oh, you guys are looking at, a different city's charter.
Yeah,
Oh,
So it's page 68. We're gonna look at our charter.
Okay.
At your last meeting, you had asked for samples of
Okay.
additional cities, and those are the 2 additional cities. I apologize. We printed everything for you. So I'm on page 68 of 82.
okay, 68,
Okay.
yes.
That's very important to know. I apologize.
I'm good with it.
So then I'm just recapping. So that was changing from 50 to 25
Okay, I see where we're at now, yes.
and didn't show up. But on F, we also took out the taxi and bus.
Hmm,
And then we'll go on to Article 2, the council. This is what you discussed at your last meeting. And we had a request for Mr. James offline for us to add language on 2.01C. And so that it made it more clear that we have the 3rd year off. So I'd like to point that out, but because we're a few members short, we'll go ahead and discuss that change at the next meeting. So there's not as much pressure on the 3 of you. I did promise to do revisions to 2.04, resign to run, to clarify that constitutional provision. Mr. Chair, did you have any additional comment on this section?
Yeah, I'd like to clarify or update the language that says if someone is already seated on a generic council position, regardless of what it is, if they choose to run for another position, they must give up their current position to run. So you couldn't run as a council member for mayor, since it's the council.
right,
And you couldn't run as an at-large if you had a seat, a district position. I think if you choose to run for a different position,
you have to
you
give
should give up your current position.
Yes.
And I think it should be far enough in advance that you do this, that
Right.
someone else could run for that position.
Right,
Yeah, I don't think you should get a fallback where, let me run for this job. Oh, I lost, I'll keep the one I've got. If you're running for a different one, something's going on.
yeah,
All right, Leslie?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so I will make the red line for that and bring it back at your next meeting for everyone to look at. And I believe those were all the red lines I had
okay.
for Article 2. So if we'd like to look at Article 3, Mr. Chair?
So we have an email from one of the members that can't be here. And he wants to lower the members, or the number percentage to more or less do a recall. But I think it's way too low. Currently, it looks like we're at 15%,
Hmm,
and he's kind of wanting like 5%. I think if someone's doing a bad job, they're not gonna have a problem getting 15% of the voters.
right,
But 5% could just be an upset neighborhood.
yeah,
So I would suggest we leave it as is, and if we do change it, it needs to be a higher. Number.
higher percentage, yeah,
Because part of doing a good job as an elected official sometimes is, what was it? A good negotiator, everyone's upset, everyone's happy. No one
Right.
leaves the table feeling
mm,
100% both ways.
mm.
Is
So-
the, what, the other cities we've looked at, did they generally have 15 or are there other numbers for that recall percentage?
They're all over the board.
Oh, okay.
And it really depends on which city you're looking at, because you have some cities, such as, I believe, Austin, where everybody is up at the same time. And so they have a greater turnout because everybody comes up at the same time, whereas for us, when we have a district turnout, like this particular election in May, we only have one district member that has a challenger, so we're gonna have what's gonna look like an extremely low voter turnout, because there's only one district that the voters are gonna come out, as opposed to all four or citywide. And so for a district race, if you put a petition for that on a district race, it's gotta be a petition to the people who voted in that race. If it's at large, it'll be at large. If we were to do a bond election, say in November, and a council election in May, would you want the numbers of the bond election to apply to a recall election? Or, because it's a different audience who's gonna vote. So
Right.
there is some questions that we did have discussion in the past, whether or not we wanted it to be for all elections or just the previous year's council election.
I think generically speaking, whether you're in power or not, you should always try to be fair, assuming you would not be in power the next time this comes up.
Right,
I'm gonna stand by, we need to keep it at a number that's reasonable and not so low that just, one neighborhood could recall someone
correct,
because they didn't get what they wanted.
right,
It needs to be reasonable, and I think
Across.
15% is reasonable
yes,
of registered voters. If that person's doing that bad a job, 15% of 3,000 people is not unreasonable.
no,
You actually just made a very good point. Previous to the last charter election, it was the number of people who came out to vote, and they did change it to registered voters, so it would not make a difference as to pose, which election it was, so I retract my comments.
Okay, I recognize you brought it up, but I feel it's not something we want to approach, and I think we're all in agreement.
yes,
So-
Yeah,
Well,
I'm good with that unless he wants to do another push and maybe we go to like 12 or, but I agree, it needs to be above 10.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, 15 to 12, that's 15.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be 25, 50 people in the big scheme.
Right,
it's
and
not-
we can let him argue for that, but yeah, I agree. I think 15 is very reasonable.
Mm.
I can't, I didn't make the mistake. Okay,
Would there be any, interest of the board to find out what the numbers would be if this were to happen by petition, like what the number of registered voters we
No.
have?
I think we're good. This has been looked at before, and everyone seems to be sticking with the 15%. As the city grows, the number will get bigger as people register, as people age.
This did change the last election, it was of the number of people that turned out. So this is a new provision.
Anybody else want to look at it? I'm good. I don't need to. And I think we're good.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else on section 3 as they were going through? And as a note, the petition signature limit is 15% as well.
Mm.
So it would all match. Recall petition, everything's 15%. So that
Right.
kind of, I see that as a common thread.
That's a good point. Last time it was 20%, 25%, depending on, the number of voters that turned out the election, depending on what it was, so it does make more sense to have it all consistent.
Oh,
Less confusing. Anybody else have any comments on section 3?
I do not.
no,
Everybody good with working on, Article 4? Okay, let's take a look at Article 4.
yes. Recall. Article 4, the city manager.
Do you have a question on municipal court?
Yes, sir.
46B. Is 2 years the standard term for a city judge, or is that too short, too long, needs to be adjusted?
I think it's state law, but I think it's state law. We can certainly look into it. Have that memorized, I believe it is state law.
I've done this contracts recently and I'm trying to say it's state law, but.
I would like to as well, but I want to have us look into that just to be sure. If it's not state law, would you like us to?
Well, I would at least think that maybe extending it. Maybe to 3 years, just, it almost feels like by the time they get their feet under them and get going, it's time to possibly change out again. There is some,
We haven't changed municipal court judge in a very long time,
okay,
or the associates.
okay, that helps. And then, is there anything that says they need to be from the area? Or is that something we don't want? We would rather have a judge that lives
Do you already find it?
Yes, it is. It's by law.
by law 2 years?
It is by law 2 years. The judge of the municipal court serves for a term of office of 2 years.
Okay,
What is that section?
Is the government code, chapter 29,
Okay, I was looking at.
29.005.
Oh,
is there any,
Also, LGC, that's my fault.
does anybody have any thoughts on either having the judge be local, like set a mileage distance, or not be local for partiality?
I think local would be better.
So, and then what would you define as local? Like, has to live within the city or has to live within so many miles of the city limit?
Within the city, I'd say within the city.
I think we're gonna get voted down.
I would just caution, saying within the city,
Okay,
because we used to have a provision that required the city's directors to be in the city or it's ETJ.
okay,
And so I don't know where I don't believe our current judge is actually in our city limits. And he's been our judge for a very long time, and I would hate to unseat him.
oh,
He's doing a great job.
Okay.
Or just,
well, going forward, I guess, it would do it going forward.
well, I mean,
For those who are, running for the next election forward.
Oh, it's not an elected position?
it's appointed.
I mean, or those who are being appointed
Okay.
going forward, so it would not affect those who are currently.
But every 2 years he gets reappointed. So I guess the question would be is, do we have a number of using city hall? Like they have to live within 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 100 miles of city hall.
Right, right.
to be considered somewhat local, that kind of like, they know the area, they know the people.
I think that would be better then. That would be better, so that way it can be retroactive to have a deal. So if they live within a certain radius of the city,
How
that would
about
work.
we leave it to city managers to decide what that distance should be?
Yeah,
Right?
Oh, sorry, we can, it usually can by charter, extend the term of the municipal court judge.
Okay,
Okay,
would y'all like to recommend it longer than 2 years?
I would.
Okay.
I think 3 years.
4,
Well, 4 would well, depending on how it works, it would coincide with elections.
right,
So
right,
if we did
so,
3, it would always, theoretically, we have elections 3 years out of 4.
right.
Maybe I'm right, maybe you're right. Go with 4.
I mean, 4 would be better.
2 out of 3. Because they're 3-year terms,
I'm sorry, you're right.
apologize.
No. Numbers in my head. Yeah, the numbers in my head are bouncing around. So if we
Sure,
went to 4. We could promote or say 4 or as dictated by state law in case someone decided that the 4 was not right. Future,
well, if you want to change in the future, because this is the charter, go back to the vote.
okay. 4, anyone else?
I'll say 4. I think we've lost-
Did we lose Leslie?
I think so, hello?
Oh, no, I'm good with that.
You good with 4?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we'll see about maybe changing it to 4.
And did you want to put in a, residency clause?
I was. How about you get back to us what you feel is an appropriate distance?
I would say the city limits or ETJ.
Would that cover our current judgment?
Yes, it would only be applying to, well, the current judge is actually an employee. All of the associate judges are by contract.
Okay,
And so, it would, we would need to check to see if they are currently in our jurisdiction, or we would not be able to enter into a contract with them. We can certainly look into that.
yeah, let's plan on city ECJ area unless we run into a problem and then
Right.
we'll have to revisit it.
Hmm.
If it's a problem, do you want to say Fort Bend County, or is that too big?
Well, Fort Bend's too big. I mean, I wouldn't want the judge to be up in Fulshire.
Right.
They're, you know, Fulshire's got its own set of problems.
Which may be why they're near.
I like ETJ. And then. I like ETJ, you know, let's look into that. I mean, we can always say no at a later date,
Hmm.
but I like the 4 years. let's keep them local. The ETJ counts. And then realistically, if they're contract judges, we really do want someone that knows the area.
Right,
Unless it's a big impartiality thing, and then we want someone as far away as we can, because they don't know the players.
yeah,
But I think the
Yeah.
county, municipal basically just takes care of speeding tickets and stuff like that, which is pretty much cut and dry.
Traffic citations, code enforcement, and handling.
Yeah, ETJ is fine for that. That shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah.
And a lot of our traffic is from people who drive through.
Yeah, wanna
It's
keep
more
them-
than 50%, I believe.
Yeah, we wanna keep them local, that way he knows,
yeah,
especially if he sees all the.
right.
and I would just caution, I know sometimes I don't know if they have a problem filling those, so we need a caveat where if we can't get local people. Cause
Well,
though,
that's
you know,
what we need.
for attorneys, a lot of times they want other more lucrative positions. I don't
And
know
a
if
lot
that's,
of times, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, I don't know if if they've run into that. But we would definitely want, not want to get us in a situation where we're having trouble filling.
So we have one judge who's some of it, he's a, city employee. And then we have 3 or 4.
There are a number of contracts right now.
Okay, so all of the associate judges are by contract and they rotate through. So they are not full-time employees, and they most likely are judges in multiple cities just because they need the income. If we can only give them 2 dockets a month.
Yeah,
And so we do have a number of contracts just because we do need them to be able to fill the docket. So the judge has time off, but has on-call people.
well, if we have plenty of judges, for lack of a better term, on call, shouldn't be an issue.
I feel like there are at least 4 contracts for associates.
Yeah, I can name at least 4 people right now.
Yeah, I think we're covered.
But I only off the top of my head can know for sure one of them lives within the city limits. I do not know the address of the other 3, and I know that 2 of them are judges in their places.
Well, you guys wanna look into that, well, we're at the distance thing based on, you know,
Okay,
staffing availability, if possible, I'd like to put that in there. Or we could just say that the main judge has to be ETJ, and associates could be as needed.
that might be easier.
That might be easier.
Yeah,
Okay, because then that would make him the same as all directors.
Right.
Lindsay, you're okay with that? Leslie, I'm sorry. Oh, I keep saying
Yeah,
Lindsay.
that's good. That's good. That kind of addresses what I was saying, my concern. So yeah, I'm good with that.
Are we good? And we'll bring these back at your next meeting, and that leaves us just with 5 and 6 for your next meeting, and going over the report.
You guys wanna go ahead and knock out 5 since we're sitting here? I mean, we're well ahead of schedule.
You're about 2 months ahead of schedule,
Yeah.
but that's okay. That's okay.
Leslie, you wanna look at 5 and 6 while we're here?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Anybody have anything for section 4? No, we're good?
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on to section 5.
And this is set by state law 501.
I have no
No,
changes to section 5. Leslie?
no.
Sorry, I was I was looking for the unmute and I couldn't find it for a second. No, I don't see anything on my first glance. No, I'm good.
Okay,
I will tell you that 501 and 502 are almost verbatim state law.
okay, we can make changes really if you wanted to. Section 6? So I have a question, which was
Sure.
one of my people asked. Is there a way we can put in there that it has to be a balanced budget?
We could put that in there, but it's required by state law.
Never mind.
Oh, I mean, we could put that in for clarification, we can ask the voters to approve yes or no, but regardless of what the voters approve, state law requires you to have a balanced budget.
Okay, so we're already good with that then.
Well, I mean, if it's state law, but would anyone want to add it just to make other people feel warm and fuzzy? Because I don't see it, and someone asked me about it, and I said, I looked and didn't see it.
I mean, if it's state law, then we're already protected.
But if it makes you feel better to have it,
Right.
Leslie?
I don't think it's
I don't-
needed.
I'm not definitely like, I mean, I don't, I guess I could go either way. I'm kind of generally as like general drafting principles. If that were to change in state law, we would have an inconsistency. I can't imagine it changing in state law. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of either way on that one.
Well, if it does change in state law, then we can always add it later on.
Yeah.
Right, if we needed to do an
Sounds like
amendment.
we're gonna leave it as is.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't think it's necessary to add it right now. Let's see what we
Okay,
have
so we're good with
state
6.
law.
Okay, so we're good with 6.
Yes.
and that is your entire charter.
Anybody have any questions? Is everybody good with what we talked about today?
Yes.
Okay, and then at the next meeting, we will see any updates, questions, red lines, anything like that. And does our wonderful staff have anything they want to add? Okay, I am calling the meeting at 5:23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is officially over.
Wow, you guys were so fast. I could have made it in. I came